Yo, what is up, guys? Back at it again with another video. We're continuing with the green EK. I got all of the rest of the parts from Christian this last weekend. Gaskets, seals, gauges, wideband, hoses, everything basically. So we're gonna go ahead and get this head together. This video, we picked up Vitara valves. These are the 6000 series. They're dished. So these will do really well. These are stronger than the 5000 series just because of how they're made and how they're put together. So we got these going for it. We also have our Supertech titanium retainer single valve spring kit for the D series, for the Y8. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing together this video. We are still waiting on a head gasket for his motor, 75.5 mil, because he forgot to grab one of those. So we're gonna get, once we have one of those, we can put the head on the block and start getting a lot of other shit done. So we got to get the trans together yet. Once we have the trans together, we have the mounts, we can mate the trans, we can mate the clutch to the engine, and then we can mate the transmission to the engine, put that in the car with the mounts, get everything set up and start doing all the fabrication. And once we have the fabrication done, we'll have to do all the automatic to manual stuff inside the car, manual pedal assembly swap, the master and slave cylinder, and get rid of the AC and stuff, because with our tubular top mount, we're not going to be able to use all this stuff here. I don't even think we're going to be able to use the power steering, which means we either have to get a manual rack or loop the lines. So I'm unsure of what we're doing yet with that, so we'll see what happens. We got a lot of shit to do yet to this car, so we're gonna get cracking. So let's get on with this head work. All right, again, shout out to shout out to PCE for all the machining done. This Y head looks really good. I think he even radiused like the ports. You can see it's like super smooth there compared to the rough casting that it was. So I really appreciate him for doing that, Nick over there. And so we're gonna get started. So I have all the exhaust valves out, labeled 1 through 8. 1 is cylinder 1 from right to left. So if I were to flip this head over like this would be where the timing is. This is cylinder 1, valve 1, cylinder 1, valve 2, then cylinder 2, valve 3, cylinder 2, valve 4, yada yada yada, 1 through 8. So what we're going to do basically to we're going to lap the valves in real quick. Once we do that, we can put the we can put the lower retainer on, or the lower spring seat, lube up the valve, put the valve stem seal on. Once the valve stem seal is on, we can put the valve in the head and then put the valve spring in the head and be Gucci. So but before we put them in, we're gonna lap them. We're gonna lap all of them, intake and exhaust, and once those are finished, we can assemble the head, and basically the head's ready to go. I am gonna clean off most of the valve assembly, like the VTEC rockers and stuff, with some brake clean, because I don't think they were washed, but that's okay. And then we can assemble the head, and basically the head's waiting for the head gasket, and then we can put that on the block. Once that's done, the engine is together. I still have to put the oil pump on and rear main seal, and once we do that, put the oil pan on, make a gasket, and then we can put the turbo manifold on in the car, find out where the turbo drain is going to be, check fitment, stuff like that. So yeah, let's go. I'm going to start lapping these valves. I'll show you what that looks like. And yeah, we're going to put we'll put oil on the stem of the valve, and then we will put either lapping compound on the face of the valve right here, or on the seat. I usually put it on the face of the valve, that way I'm not, when I slide it into the guide, I'm not, you know, maybe touching the seat where there's valve lapping compound and pushing that into the guide, because you got to make sure those are clean, because that will ruin a valve and ruin a guide very quickly. So let's get started. All right, first step, lube the valve stem. I just dip my finger in some oil and do this. You don't need a whole lot, you just need it to be coated so that it doesn't drag. Once you have that on there, you're good. Next step is to put the valve grinding compound onto the valve face, which I do this all the way around. and you should be good. You don't have to use much. And once you're done, you got to clean it off, obviously. Okay, that's on there. Then you slide the valve down in the guide. Let it sit. Cool. So this is how the valve lapping procedure goes. You find these are valve lapping tools. It's basically got a suction cup on it. You suction cup to the valve. You're going to spin and you'll hear it grind, and then you'll hear it get smooth. Once it gets smooth, you tap it a few times, you grind, it'll get chunkier, and then it'll get smooth again. Once you get to a point where you're tapping and grinding and it's almost immediately smooth, the valve is then seated to the seat. It's grinded, you know, it's got a good surface for it to seal to. So go ahead and get that done. You'll hear what it sounds like on this one, and then we'll knock out the rest of them. So at first, crunchy. See how it gets smooth? Tap it. Crunchy again. Crunchy or smooth. Tap it. Crunchy again. Smooth. Tap it. Crunchy. Smooth. Basically going to do that for all of them, and you should be good. Yeah. Alright, once that's done, the only thing left to do is then clean up the valve and the seat. Make sure you get all that stuff out of there. I am going to brake clean the head after I'm finished before I do the reassembly, but to alleviate any of that mess right now, just wipe it all out. And we'll take a look at the seat and see what it looks like now that it is lapped to the head and to the valve. Very good contact patch. Perfect. Whatever you do, just make sure you get none of this valve grinding compound on the stem or in the guide. Cause failure. Okay. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but you see the gray line on the seat right here? I don't know if maybe you can see it without the flashlight. Let me put you in some better light. Alright, so you can see that gray line along the valve. That is where the valve is going to mate with the head and transfer the heat and cool down and seal. Now that you see that versus a valve that doesn't have it done, you can see the difference. So you can kind of see the difference here. That valve having it done, it's hard to see, but it's more gray, and then this one's shiny. That is the lapping itself. And then looking at the seat, you see how it's got the gray rim on the right and then the silver on the left? That's because the valve is now lapped. So all of these will then go from this shiny seat looking to that gray line on the seat. And then that's how you know it's lapped. And it's very smooth, very even. That's how you know it's done. So, walk through the steps again. You lube the stem, you put the valve grinding compound on the face of the valve, then you put the valve in, connect your valve lapping tool, grind, tap tap, grind until you hear it smooth. Once it sounds like it's smooth all the time, take it out, make sure you don't get any of the compound on the valve guide or on the stem, and you're golden. So I'm gonna knock out these exhaust valves, get these intake valves lapped, and we'll look at what it looks like after we're finished. All right, boys, so We got all of the seats lapped, all the valves lapped. They're all numbered. They're all clean. They're all in here. Now the only thing left to do is to assemble. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean off some of the rocker assembly real quick, and then I have a tool that is meant to put this stuff together. I'll show you what that looks like in a second here, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, and then we'll start assembling this head, get the valve springs in, valve seats, valve stem seals, get it all together. All right, so over here, trying to make sure I got everything together. It looks like we're missing a single valve keeper. I have 31. There's 2 per valve, 16 valves. There should be 32 valve keepers. I have 31. So I'm going to probably just tell Christian to order new ones, because I don't have any extras, surprisingly. So yeah, I guess I kind of gotta wait until those come in, and we can start assembling the head, put it all together, and it should be ready for the block. So all right, my dudes, we're back. We're gonna get this thing finished up. Where we left off, I counted 31 of these keepers. We need 32 to do all the valves. I just told Christian to replace them, and we got a set of Supertech valve keepers here, and they should work well. And we're gonna get it together, finish getting this head together. We also have the head gasket. The only thing we're waiting on to put the motor together really is the head studs, I believe. So we're gonna go ahead, get this thing together, finish her up. Also, it's been I think 2 weeks since we last left off with this head. We got all the plastic down, the lights got pulled down, we got insulation blew in on the ceiling, and they were able to keep our skylighting, so that's cool. And we also picked up another car for the shop. Let you guys know about that in another video. Let's get cracking. Okay, so with these valve stem seals, I got all the seats on already. They just slide down on. The valve stem seals, you'll see on these, they're all like the same color except for the spring is white on the intake and black on the exhaust. I believe they're basically the same size, but I usually just follow that. White spring intake, brown spring exhaust, or black spring exhaust. Basically, you're gonna set it on. I put oil on it, fill it with oil basically, set it on, and then I use a 10mm socket, set it over top, tap, tap, tap until it stops moving. You'll hear the sound change, and then it's on and good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock these out, and then we can start putting in the valves. All right, like I said, I usually go like that, spin the oil around inside of it, and it's ready to go. Push it down. You can usually get it pretty far with your finger. I'm gonna get them all started and then tap them all in. Okay, the exhausts are all on. I'm gonna flip it around, do the intakes, and then we can go ahead and start putting the valves and the valve springs in. Okay, so we have our Supertech titanium retainers, our Supertech single valve springs. This is the kit we are using. You guys can see that. That's the spring kit we're using. And this is my eBay valve spring compression tool. It works very well for what we're doing. We use one of these pieces, put it on the top here, or on this one, yeah. And then this sits on top of the valve valve retainer. Pushes down. This piece will sit on the face of the head underneath of the valve. Push the spring down. We insert the valve keepers through these parts, and then we slowly let it back up and put it together. So, show you guys how that's done. We'll keep going. Just like that, she is on and ready, and looks pretty clean, to be honest. After I get finished with them, I usually tap the top of the valve with a mallet, a rubber mallet, not a hammer or a metal thing, just to kind of like seat the keepers into the keeper retainer piece. And it looks good. It's ready to roll. So I'm gonna knock out the rest of these, and we'll see what the head looks like all together. Well, with all the valve springs in it. All right, sweet. They are all in. All looking pretty nice. Titanium retainers, valve springs, the valves looking pretty damn clean, if you ask me. Everything's good. I'm going to clean off the rocker assembly and the camshaft. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it in yet, because I'll just have a better time doing it whenever I put it on the motor. So only thing we're waiting on is the head studs and the clutch. So next video I'll be putting together the transmission. It's in complete pieces, so I'll have to put it all back together, make sure it's good, and basically that's just gonna be like a feeler, to be honest. We don't know if the bearings are good. I'm gonna check them, but again, not really sure if it's gonna be good or not, so I'll have to look it over. We're gonna check that in the next video, guys. Appreciate y'all coming through and checking the videos out. Sorry that they've been very far in between. You know how things go, but appreciate y'all for checking in still, and I'll check y'all on the next one. Deuces.